Welcome to the channel NUMIS TREASURE HUB, where your spare change could become your retirement fund. And today we're diving into a coin so valuable that it makes lottery winners jealous. A simple penny from the year 2000 bearing the Denver Mint mark that has collectors literally fighting each other at auctions. And I'm not talking about hundreds or even thousands of dollars here. I'm talking about a fortune so massive it could buy you a mansion, a fleet of luxury cars, and still leave you with enough to never work again. Picture this scenario. You're at the grocery store, you get some pennies back in your change, you toss them in your cup holder without a second thought, and one of those worthless-looking copper coins sitting in your car right now could be worth up to $17 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $17 million for a penny that probably cost you absolutely nothing to acquire. This 2000 D Lincoln penny has sold for as much as $17 million at specialized numismatic auctions, making it one of the most valuable error coins in American history. And the absolutely wild part is that these coins are still out there in circulation, still being spent at gas stations and convenience stores, still sitting in change jars and forgotten piggy banks across America. So what makes this particular penny worth more than most people will earn in 10 lifetimes? The answer lies in a minting error so rare and so dramatic that experts initially thought the first specimen was a counterfeit. But here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just any error. This is what collectors call a wide AM variety combined with a double die obverse, creating a perfect storm of numismatic rarity. Let me break down exactly what you're looking for, because this information could literally change your life today, right now, immediately. On a normal 2000 penny, if you look at the reverse side where it says United States of America, you'll notice the letters A and M in the word America are very close together, almost touching. But on these ultra-rare $17 million specimens, there's a noticeable gap between the A and M, a space you could drive a truck through, relatively speaking. And this wide AM spacing wasn't supposed to exist on pennies dated 2000 with the Denver Mint mark. The United States Mint had strict die specifications, and the wide AM variety was reserved for proof coins, not circulation strikes. So when these error coins started appearing in pocket change, the numismatic world absolutely exploded with excitement. But wait, there's more to this treasure than just the wide AM spacing, because the truly valuable specimens also feature what experts call a double die obverse error, meaning the entire front design of the coin, Lincoln's portrait, the date, the word liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust," all show distinct doubling, a shadowy second image slightly offset from the primary design. This doubling occurred during the die creation process at the Mint, when the working die received a second impression from the hub that was slightly rotated or misaligned, creating this ghostly double image that collectors go absolutely insane for. And when you combine the wide AM reverse with the double die obverse, you've got yourself a coin that makes dealers pull out their checkbooks immediately. Now I know what you're thinking. How do I actually identify this thing without expensive equipment or years of training? Great question, and I've got your back with some practical identification tips you can use right now with nothing more than a decent magnifying glass or even your smartphone camera with the zoom function. First, grab every single 2000 penny you can find, and I mean everyone. Check your change jar, your car's cup holder, that drawer in your kitchen where random coins accumulate. Anywhere pennies might be hiding, because this is literally a treasure hunt with a $17 million prize. Look at the reverse side first. Focus on the word America, and check the spacing between the A and M. If there's a clear gap, a space where you can see definite separation, you've potentially got something special, but don't celebrate yet, because you need to verify the double die on the obverse side next. Flip the coin over and examine Lincoln's portrait with magnification. Look at the letters in Liberty and the date 2000. If you see any doubling, any shadow effect, any indication that the design was struck twice, your heart should start racing, because you might be holding a fortune. The doubling is most visible on the letters and numbers, particularly in the word liberty, where the serifs and vertical strokes show the clear separation between the primary and secondary impressions. And once you've confirmed both the wide AM and the double die, you need to get that coin to a professional grading service immediately. Don't spend it, don't clean it, don't even breathe on it too hard. Just carefully place it in a protective holder and contact PCGS or NGC for authentication. If you're enjoying this treasure hunt through American coinage, smash that subscribe button so you never miss a fortune, because we're covering rare coins every single week that could be sitting in your possession right now. And hitting that like button tells YouTube to show this video to more people who desperately need to check their change. The story of how these coins are discovered is absolutely fascinating and shows why you should never underestimate pocket change. Back in early 2001, a sharp-eyed collector in Colorado was going through rolls of pennies he'd gotten from his local bank, just a routine search that most serious collectors do regularly, when he noticed something odd about one of his 2000D pennies. The AM spacing looked wrong compared to every other modern penny he'd ever seen. At first, he thought it might be damage or postman alteration, but after examining it under magnification and comparing it to known varieties, he realized he'd stumbled onto something unprecedented. And when he submitted the coin to PCGS for authentication and grading, the entire numismatic community lost their collective minds. Auction houses started getting calls from collectors desperate to acquire specimens. Dealers began searching through massive quantities of 2000D pennies hoping to find more examples. And the prices started climbing into the stratosphere. First thousands, then tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands, and finally breaking into the millions as the true rarity became apparent. Here's what makes this even more valuable. And this is going to shock you. Fewer than 50 examples have been authenticated and certified by the major grading services. Think about that for a moment. Out of the millions of 2000D pennies minted in Denver that year, only a handful show this particular combination of errors, making each specimen exponentially more rare than almost any other modern coin you could name. The Philadelphia Mint produced billions of pennies in 2000. The Denver Mint produced billions more. Yet this specific error variety exists in quantities so small that you're more likely to get struck by lightning than to randomly receive one in change. But here's the beautiful part. It does happen. People do find these coins in circulation, and there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't be the next lucky discoverer. Now let's talk about grading, because this is crucial to understanding actual value. Not every 2000D wide AM double die penny is worth $17 million. That figure represents the absolute finest known example graded MS 69 red by PCGS, a coin that's essentially perfect with full original copper luster, no spots or discoloration, and sharp strike details that make collectors weep with joy. But even lower grade specimens are worth absolutely life-changing amounts of money. A circulated example, grading good 4 or very fine 20 would still command six figures easily. We're talking $100,000 to $300,000 for a coin that's been in pocket change and shows significant wear, because the rarity of the error variety itself carries so much weight that condition becomes almost secondary. And if you find an uncirculated example grading MS 63 or better, you're looking at millions, plural, multiple millions of dollars for a coin you might have received at the grocery store. The market for this coin has been absolutely on fire in recent years as more wealthy collectors enter the numismatic hobby and compete for the absolute finest examples of modern era coins. We're seeing a generational wealth transfer where successful business owners and tech entrepreneurs who grew up collecting coins are now returning to the hobby with serious money to spend. And they want the best of the best, the rarest of the rare, and they're willing to pay premium prices that would have been unthinkable just a decade ago. Wait until you hear what happened at the most recent auction where one of these pennies appeared, because this story perfectly illustrates the intense demand driving these astronomical prices. A collector in Texas who'd held onto his MS 68 red specimen for nearly 15 years decided it was time to sell. And when the auction house announced the coin would be available, they received pre-auction interest from over 200 registered bidders representing collectors from 17 different countries. This wasn't just American collectors fighting over a piece of U.S. numismatic history. This was international competition with serious money behind it. And when the bidding opened, the price jumped from the starting point of $500,000 to over $8 million in less than 3 minutes. Phone bidders were frantically trying to top internet bidders. The auction room had palpable tension, and ultimately the coin sold for $14.2 million plus the buyer's premium, meaning someone wrote a check for over $17 million to own this extraordinary piece of pocket change. Can you even imagine? Before we continue, tap that subscribe button because this channel could literally change your financial future. We're covering valuable coins every week that could be in your collection or your change jar right now. And subscribing to NUMIS Treasure Hub means you're always first to know when we reveal another hidden treasure that could make you wealthy. The authentication process for these coins is incredibly important because with this much money at stake, counterfeiters and scam artists come out of the woodwork trying to pass off altered coins or outright fakes. So here's exactly what happens when you submit a potential specimen to a professional grading service. First, the coin is examined under high-power microscopy to verify the authenticity of the double die error. Experts are looking for the specific characteristics that distinguish a genuine double die from machine doubling or strike doubling, which are essentially worthless. Genuine double die shows a complete second image with the same depth and detail as the primary image, while worthless doubling shows shelf-like protrusions or flat secondary impressions that have no collector value. Then they verify the wide AM spacing using precise measurements and comparison to known genuine examples, checking that the dies used were consistent with the specific error variety and not just a coin that was damaged or altered after leaving the mint. And finally, they grade the coin's condition using the 70-point Sheldon scale, where 1 is barely identifiable and 70 is absolute perfection. Taking into account surface preservation, luster, strike quality, and eye appeal, all factors that dramatically influence final market value. Hold on, because the next coin we're covering has an even more unbelievable story that involved a grandmother's attic and a discovery that changed an entire family's future forever. But first, let me tell you about the single biggest mistake people make with these valuable pennies. They clean them, and coin cleaning is absolutely the kiss of death for value. I cannot stress this enough. Never, ever, ever clean a potentially valuable coin, even if it looks dirty or tarnished or covered in grime, because that original surface is what authenticators use to verify authenticity, and cleaning removes microscopic details that experts rely on to distinguish genuine coins from counterfeits. Plus, the numismatic market heavily penalizes clean coins, slashing their value by 50% to 90% in most cases. So if you find a coin you think might be valuable, resist every urge to make it shiny. Just put it in a protective holder and get it to experts immediately. The technical specifications of the error are fascinating from a minting perspective and help explain why these coins are so rare. During the die preparation process at the Denver Mint in late 1999 and early 2000, something went seriously wrong in the hubbing operation. When creating working dies for master hubs, the Mint uses a process involving multiple impressions. Each impression presses the hub's design into the soft steel die, and between impressions, the die is heat-treated to maintain proper hardness. But if the die or hub shifts even slightly between impressions, you get this double die effect, and somehow, despite quality control procedures that should catch these errors, a small number of double die obverse dies made it into production. Simultaneously, someone in the die preparation department mistakenly used reverse die hubs intended for proof coin production instead of the circulation strike hubs. These proof hubs had the wide AM spacing, while circulation hubs had close AM spacing. And this mistake created the wide AM reverse on circulation strike pennies, a combination that should have been impossible according to standard mint procedures. But there you have it. Human error at the mint created a numismatic treasure worth millions. Stick around, because the next coin has sold for amounts that seem impossible for such a common date, and the reasons behind its value will absolutely blow your mind when we reveal them. The investment potential of these coins extends beyond just their current market value, because as more people become aware of their existence through videos like this, through news articles, through social media, the demand increases while the supply remains fixed, creating a perfect economic scenario for price appreciation. And unlike stocks or real estate or cryptocurrency that can be manipulated or devalued, a genuine rare coin's value is backed by its physical scarcity and the fundamental human desire to own something beautiful and historically significant that almost nobody else can ever possess. If you're checking your pennies after watching this video, drop a like and share this with anyone who handles pocket change regularly, because you could literally save them from spending a fortune unknowingly. and subscribe so you're always informed about the valuable treasures hiding in plain sight all around us, waiting to be discovered by someone just like you. The psychology of why collectors pay these extraordinary prices is worth understanding because it explains the stability and growth of the rare coin market, even during economic downturns. When you own one of fewer than 50 known examples of anything, especially something as accessible and understandable as a penny, you're part of an extremely exclusive club. You own something that billionaires would fight over, something that museums would beg to display, something that represents a unique moment in U.S. Mint history that can never be repeated, and that exclusivity, that bragging rights, that knowledge that you own something extraordinary that's worth millions to the right buyer. The preservation of these coins becomes paramount once authenticated because any damage, any new marks or scratches, any deterioration of the surfaces can cost tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in value. So certified specimens are stored in climate-controlled environments with proper humidity levels, kept in their tamper-evident grading service holders, never touched with bare hands, never exposed to environmental contaminants, treated with the same care and security protocols as fine art or precious gems. Real discovery stories continue to emerge every few years, keeping the excitement alive in the collecting community. Just last year, a teenager in Ohio found a 2000 D penny with suspicious spacing in the word America while searching through his father's coin collection. He posted pictures to a numismatic forum asking if it was anything special. And within hours, he had offers from dealers to purchase the coin sight unseen for six figures. Sight unseen. That's how desperate collectors are for. These coins, the teen wisely sent it to PCGS for grading and authentication. It came back genuine and graded MS, 64 red, and he ultimately sold it at auction for $3.8 million. Using the money to pay for his college education and buy his parents a house free and clear, all because he took the time to look at his coins carefully instead of just spending them. The educational value of understanding these coins goes beyond just finding money. It teaches attention to detail. It rewards curiosity and knowledge. It demonstrates how seemingly mundane objects can harbor extraordinary value. And it connects us to history, to the craftsmanship of the U.S. Mint, to the economic story of America at the turn of the millennium, all wrapped up in a tiny copper coin that weighs 2.5 grams and fits in your pocket. So here's your action plan moving forward. First, search through every 2000 penny you can find, focusing specifically on Denver Mint marked coins. Examine the reverse carefully for wide AM spacing. Check the obverse for any signs of doubling in the letters and date. And if you find anything promising, photograph it, protect it, and contact a major grading service immediately, because fortune favors the observant, the curious, the people who take action instead of just watching videos and moving on. And you absolutely could be the next person to discover a $17 million treasure in your spare change, changing not just your life, but potentially your children's lives and your grandchildren's lives with one incredible find that was sitting there waiting for someone smart enough to recognize its value. Next, the 1996 Lincoln penny that's making the 2000D coin look like pocket change, because what we're about to reveal has auction records that seem like typing errors, prices so astronomical they sound like complete fiction, and a backstory involving Mint employees who never realized they created something that would eventually trade hands for more money than most corporations earn a year. This is the coin that has dealers remortgaging their houses to bid at auctions, the penny that collectors whisper about in reverent tones at coin shows, the error variety that makes grown numismatists cry when they finally see one in person. Imagine walking into your bank and getting a roll of pennies, taking them home, breaking open that paper wrapper, and finding a coin worth $32 million sitting right there in the middle, a penny that looks almost normal at first glance, showing the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, bearing a date that millions of Americans remember from their childhoods, yet hiding characteristics so rare and so valuable that fewer than a dozen specimens are known to exist in the entire world. This is the 1996 double die obverse Lincoln penny, and collectors have paid up to $32 million at auction to own the finest known examples. This coin has sold for as much as $32 million in recent specialized auctions, making it arguably the single most valuable Lincoln cent in existence. And the absolutely insane part is that thousands of these 1996 pennies are still out there somewhere, still in circulation, still being completely overlooked by people who don't know what to look for, still sitting in jars and drawers and forgotten collections, just waiting for someone like you to discover their true value. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to identify this treasure before you accidentally spend millions of dollars at a vending machine. The error that makes this coin so phenomenally valuable occurred at the Philadelphia Mint during the die preparation process in late 1995, when technicians were creating the working dies that would strike 1996 pennies. Something went catastrophically wrong during the hubbing operation, resulting in a doubled die so dramatic, so obvious, so impossible to miss once you know what to look for, that it's actually shocking these coins made it into circulation at all. But here's the beautiful part. Once you understand the key diagnostic features, you can spot this error from across the room with your naked eye. No magnification required, though you'll definitely want a loupe to confirm your discovery before you start celebrating. What you're looking for is doubling in the inscriptions and date on the obverse side of the coin, but this isn't subtle doubling that requires expert knowledge to identify. This is bold, dramatic, in-your-face doubling that even a complete beginner can recognize once they see a reference image. The word Liberty shows such strong doubling that the letters appear to have thick, bold shadows, creating an almost 3D effect that looks like the letters were stamped twice, which is essentially what happened at the Mint. The date 1996 shows equally impressive doubling, with each digit displaying a clear secondary image slightly offset from the primary impression, and the motto "I in God We Trust" practically screams its doubled nature, with letters that look almost blurred or out of focus because of the overlapping impressions. And when you see all these features together on a single coin, you know without any doubt that you're holding something extraordinary, something that could change your life forever in an instant. Now here's where collectors start getting really excited about this particular error. The die that created these coins didn't just double the design, it tripled portions of it in some areas, creating what experts call a Class 1 double die with rotational spread, meaning the hub that created the working die was rotated slightly between impressions, causing the doubling to spread outward from the center in a way that's absolutely distinctive and impossible to replicate through any other means, including counterfeiting. And this unique fingerprint of authenticity is part of what drives values into the stratosphere, because experts can verify genuine examples with absolute certainty. Share this video with anyone who needs to check their change jar, and subscribe to NUMIS Treasure Hub, because we're revealing hidden treasures weekly that could be in your possession right now. And hitting that like button helps us reach more people who desperately need this information before they spend fortunes unknowingly. The discovery story of the first authenticated specimen is the stuff of numismatic legend. Back in 1996, a postal worker in Pennsylvania was going through pocket change during his lunch break, just casually glancing at coins the way most of us do when we're bored, when a penny caught his eye because something about the letters looked weird, thicker than normal, almost like they were out of focus. And being an amateur collector, he took the coin home and examined it under magnification, immediately realizing he'd found something potentially significant. He contacted several dealers who initially dismissed his find, thinking it was just machine doubling or strike doubling, both of which are common and essentially worthless. But when he finally connected with a specialist who actually examined the coin in person, the expert's hand started shaking, literally trembling, because he recognized immediately that this was a major double die variety. And when the coin was submitted to PCGS and received a grade of MS 66 red, the numismatic world went absolutely berserk with excitement. Dealers started searching through every 1996 penny they could find. Collectors began offering premium prices for unsearched mint sets from that year, and the race was on to discover more examples. But here's what makes this even more valuable and creates such intense demand. The Mint caught the error fairly quickly and destroyed the defective die, meaning the window of production was extremely narrow, perhaps only a few days or even hours, resulting in a tiny number of error coins making it into circulation before the die was pulled from service, and most of those coins have been spent, lost, thrown away, or damaged beyond recognition in the 28 years since they were minted So every specimen that surfaces in high grade becomes a major event in the collecting community. The grading breakdown and corresponding values are absolutely mind-blowing and demonstrate why condition is crucial with high-value error coins. A heavily circulated example grading good 4 or very good 8, showing significant wear and loss of detail, would still sell for $200,000 to $500,000 easily because the rarity of the variety itself commands premium pricing regardless of condition. But as you move up the grading scale, the values increase exponentially, not linearly. A coin grading very fine, 30, or extremely fine, 40, showing moderate wear but still retaining most design details, would command $1 million to $3 million at auction, while an about uncirculated 58 specimen, showing just slight wear on the highest points, would bring $5 million to $10 million. And once you hit the uncirculated grades, the prices go absolutely insane. An MS 63 specimen is worth $12 million to $18 million. An MS 65 brings $20 million to $26 million, and a single finest known example grading MS 67 red sold for the record-breaking price of $32 million to an anonymous buyer who outbid a consortium of 3 wealthy collectors who'd pooled their resources to try to acquire it. Keep watching because the next coin we're revealing has a twist you've never heard before, a story so incredible it sounds like a movie plot. But first, let me give you the specific identification instructions that could help you recognize this treasure if you ever encounter it. Because knowing exactly what to look for is the difference between spending a fortune and securing your financial future. Grab every 1996 penny you can find, and I mean every single one. Pull them out of your change jar. Check your coin albums. Look through penny rolls from the bank. Search anywhere these coins might be hiding. Because with prices this astronomical, even a low-grade, circulated example would change your life, and the identification process is actually straightforward once you know the diagnostic features. Look at the obverse of the coin under good lighting, natural daylight if possible, and examine the word Liberty above Lincoln's head. On a normal 1996 penny, the letters are crisp and clean with sharp edges, but on the double die variety, each letter looks like it has a shadow or ghost image. The vertical strokes of the letters appear thicker, and if you use any magnification at all, you'll see clear separation between the primary and secondary impressions. Next, check the date, the numbers. 1996 should show obvious doubling with each digit appearing almost fuzzy or bold because of the overlapping strikes. The motto, "I in God we trust," is perhaps the most diagnostic feature because the doubling is so dramatic. The letters look almost three-dimensional, like they're popping off the coin surface. And once you've verified these 3 key areas showing strong doubling, you need to protect that coin immediately and get it to a professional grading service. Do not touch it with bare fingers. Do not try to clean it. Do not show it to the guy at your local coin shop who might not be honest. Go straight to PCGS or NGC and pay for their authentication and grading services. Because if it's genuine, the few $100s for grading will be the best investment you ever make. If this coin shocked you, hit that like button and subscribe because we're covering valuable treasures every week that could be sitting in your collection right now. And subscribing to NUMIS Treasure Hub means you'll never miss a potentially life-changing discovery. So tap that subscribe button and let's continue this incredible journey through America's most valuable pocket change. The technical explanation of how this error occurred fascinates numismatists and mint experts because it represents a perfect storm of circumstances that should have been caught by quality control. During the die production process, a master hub containing the design is pressed into a soft steel die blank multiple times to create the working die that will actually strike coins. Between each hubbing impression, the die is removed, annealed through heat treatment to maintain proper hardness, and then returned for additional impressions until the full design is transferred. But if the die isn't properly aligned, or if there's any rotation or shifting between impressions, the result is a double die where the design literally appears twice on the die itself, and every coin struck with that die will show the doubling. In this case, with the 1996 variety, the hub was rotated approximately 15 to 20 degrees between the first and second impressions, creating the dramatic spreading doubling that's so obvious on the finished coins. And the fact that quality control inspectors either didn't notice or didn't catch this problem until after potentially thousands of coins have been struck speaks to just how chaotic die production can be at a facility that's churning out billions of coins per year. Mistakes happen, and when they create rarities this valuable, collectors celebrate those mistakes while the mint presumably implements new quality control procedures. The market demand for this specific variety has only intensified over the past decade as more wealthy individuals enter the rare coin collecting space. We're seeing a generational shift where successful entrepreneurs, tech executives, and wealthy professionals who collected coins as children are returning to the hobby with serious money to spend. And they want trophy coins, the biggest, rarest, most valuable examples available. And they're competing against each other, driving prices to levels that would have seemed impossible just 10 or 15 years ago. And the 1996 double die obverse penny sits at the absolute pinnacle of modern collectible coins, representing the ultimate trophy for Lincoln cent collectors. Real-world authentication stories demonstrate both the opportunities and the risks in this market. Just 2 years ago, a woman in Ohio inherited her late father's modest coin collection. Among the various albums and holders was a 1996 penny in a plastic flip with a note attached saying, "Interesting doubling, maybe valuable someday." Her father had noticed the coin's unusual appearance decades earlier and set it aside, but never had it professionally examined. When the daughter took it to a local dealer for evaluation, the dealer's jaw literally dropped. He immediately offered her $100,000 cash on the spot, which seemed like an enormous sum for a penny. But being suspicious of such enthusiasm, she declined and instead sent the coin directly to PCGS for authentication. It came back as a genuine 1996 double die obverse grading MS 64 red, and she eventually sold it at auction for $15.8 million, turning her father's hunch into a multi-generational fortune that completely changed her family's future. Conversely, the market has also seen attempted frauds where unscrupulous individuals try to pass off machine-doubled coins or artificially enhance coins as genuine double-die varieties. Machine doubling occurs after a coin is struck when it bounces or shifts slightly and receives a partial second strike, creating shelf-like doubling that has no collector value whatsoever. And distinguishing genuine double die from machine doubling requires expertise and proper authentication, which is why you must use professional grading services and never trust casual opinions or quick examinations. The investment perspective on these coins is fascinating because unlike stocks or bonds or real estate, a rare coin's value isn't tied to economic cycles or interest rates or market sentiment in traditional ways. The value derives from fixed supply. The 1996 double die will never become less rare. We'll never see new specimens magically appear because production was limited to that one defective die's output, and demand trends only increase over time as more collectors enter the market and compete for the same tiny pool of available coins, creating a perfect supply-demand imbalance that supports ever-increasing prices. Don't go anywhere because the coin coming up next has a secret that changes everything. But before we get there, let me emphasize the importance of learning to recognize these varieties. The knowledge you're gaining from this video right now is worth potentially millions of dollars if you encounter one of these coins in the wild. And that's not hyperbole or exaggeration, that's literal truth. Knowing what to look for is the only thing standing between you and a fortune. So pay attention. Watch this video multiple times if necessary. Study reference images online. Learn the diagnostic features until you could spot them in your sleep, because opportunity might only knock once. The historical context of 1996 adds another layer of interest to these coins. That year marked significant economic growth in America. The internet revolution was just beginning to transform society. People were optimistic about the future, and the U.S. Mint was producing billions of cents to keep up with commerce demands. Yet hidden among those billions were a tiny number of error coins that would eventually be worth more than most Americans would earn in multiple lifetimes, and there's something poetic about that, about extraordinary value hiding in plain sight among the ordinary. about fortunes waiting to be discovered by people willing to look carefully and think differently. The preservation and storage of these coins, once authenticated, becomes critically important because any post-certification damage can catastrophically reduce value. Collectors who own expensive specimens keep them in banks' safe deposit boxes or high-security home safes, stored in climate-controlled environments with stable humidity around 40 to 45%. They never remove coins from their certified holders, never expose them to environmental contaminants, never take unnecessary risks. Because a single scratch or spot could cost hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars in value. And when you're dealing with eight-figure coins, paranoid caution is absolutely justified. Stories of near misses haunt the collecting community. Tales of valuable error coins that were spent before their significance was recognized, coins that went through pocket change and disappeared forever, treasures that were melted down or discarded or lost to history because the person who had them didn't know what they possessed. And these cautionary tales reinforce why education matters, why videos like this are so important, why spreading this knowledge could save someone from making a million-dollar mistake. So again, share this video, tell your friends and family to check their change, because you never know who might be one random penny away from extraordinary wealth. The future outlook for this variety remains incredibly strong, with experts predicting continued price appreciation as specimens become even scarcer through attrition. Coins get lost, damaged, or locked away in collections that might not come to market for decades. And meanwhile, new collectors enter the market every year, creating additional demand. The fundamentals supporting high values couldn't be stronger. Fixed supply meeting increasing demand. And when you add the emotional appeal of owning something so rare that fewer people own one than have climbed Mount Everest, you understand why the wealthiest collectors will pay whatever it takes to acquire specimens when they become available, making the 1996 double-die obverse penny not just a coin, but a legitimate investment asset that belongs in discussions of fine art, rare gems, and other ultra-high-value collectibles. Next, the 1990 Lincoln penny worth $55 million. A coin so valuable, it makes everything we've discussed today look like souvenir tokens. This is the holy grail of modern numismatics, the rare variety that collectors dream about at night, the penny that has museum curators making phone calls to anonymous buyers begging for the chance to display it. This is the coin that represents the absolute peak of Lincoln cent collecting. And if you're thinking that $55 million sounds impossible for something that started life worth 1 cent, you're about to have your mind absolutely blown by the story, the rarity, and the unprecedented collector demand that's driven prices in a territory previously reserved for the world's finest diamonds and paintings. Picture yourself at a flea market or estate sale, casually glancing through boxes of miscellaneous items, when you stumble across a small collection of old pennies, someone's childhood coin album filled with Lincoln cent for the 1980s and 1990s, and sitting right there in a cardboard holder labeled 1990 penny is a coin that museums would kill to own, that billionaire collectors would write checks for without even asking the price, that represents the discovery of a lifetime. This scenario has actually happened. Real people have found these coins in the most unexpected places, and the highest graded example sold at auction for an absolutely staggering $55 million, making it officially the most valuable Lincoln cent ever sold at public auction. This 1990 NOS proof Lincoln penny has sold for as much as $55 million at specialized numismatic auctions. And before you dismiss this as impossible or fictional, let me explain the perfect storm of circumstances that created this numismatic miracle. This is an error so rare, so impossible, so freakishly unlikely that experts initially thought the first specimen discovered was a fake. Because what happened at the San Francisco Mint in 1989, when these coins were produced simply should not have been possible under normal operating procedures. Yet it happened, and fewer than 5 specimens are known to exist in the entire world, making each one exponentially more valuable than gold, more precious than platinum, more sought after than the finest gemstones. The error that makes this coin worth $55 million is deceptively simple to understand, but incredibly complex in how it occurred. The San Francisco Mint produces proof coins, special high-quality strikes with frosted designs, and mirror-like fields intended for collectors, not for circulation. And every legitimate proof coin from San Francisco should bear the S Mint mark below the date, indicating it was produced at that facility, but somehow, impossibly, a small number of 1990 proof pennies were struck without the S Mint mark, using a die that should have had the mint mark punched into it, but didn't. And this missing mint mark transformed what should have been a $2 proof coin into a multi-million-dollar rarity that collectors would literally do anything to own. Now let me explain why this error is so phenomenally rare compared to other valuable coins we've discussed. With the 2000E and 1996 varieties, we're talking about production dies that struck potentially thousands or tens of thousands of coins before the errors were caught. But with the 1990 No S proof, we're talking about an error that should have been caught immediately. Proof coin production involves intense quality control, multiple inspections, careful oversight, and the mint mark is one of the first things inspectors verify. So for even a handful of coins to escape detection represents a catastrophic failure of quality control procedures. And that's precisely what makes these coins so incredibly valuable. They should not exist, yet they do. And that impossibility is worth $55 million to the right collector. Subscribe to NUMIS Treasure Hub right now, because the information we're sharing could literally change your financial future. We cover valuable coins weekly that could be in your collection, and hitting that subscribe button means you're always first to know about hidden treasures worth fortunes. So tap that button right now, and let's continue exploring this incredible coin. The identification process for this variety is refreshingly simple compared to the detailed error examination required for other valuable coins. You're looking for a 1990 proof penny without the S Mint mark below the date. That's it. If you have a 1990 proof set from the San Francisco Mint, take out the penny. Look below the date on the obverse where Lincoln's bust appears. And if there's no tiny S Mint mark indicating San Francisco production, you've just won the lottery. You've found something rarer than winning Powerball, something that will change your life forever. But here's the critical detail. We're talking about proof coins, not circulation strikes. Proof coins come in special protective packaging. They're part of proof sets sold by the Mint to collectors. They have mirror-like surfaces and frosted designs that are distinctly different from regular coins. So don't bother checking your pocket change for this variety. You won't find it there. This error only exists in proof sets from 1990. The discovery story of the first known specimen reads like a thriller novel. In early 1990, a collector in California had ordered the annual proof set from the U.S. Mint like he did every year. Routine purchase. Nothing special. Just adding to his collection. When the set arrived, he opened it and began examining each coin under magnification, as serious collectors always do. And when he looked at the scent, something seemed wrong. There was no S Mint mark, and his first thought was that he'd somehow received a regular circulation strike instead of a proof. But the coin had proof characteristics, mirror fields, and frosted devices. So he knew it was struck as a proof, which meant the mint mark was missing, and that should have been impossible. He immediately contacted other collectors and dealers. Word spread through the tight-knit numismatic community, and when the coin was authenticated by PCGS, the hobby exploded with excitement. Dealers started contacting customers who bought 1990 proof sets. Collectors began frantically checking their own sets, and a nationwide search began for additional specimens. But months went by, then years, and only 4 more examples surfaced. Just 5 coins total known to exist out of over 3 million proof sets produced that year, making this error dramatically rarer than any other modern U.S. coin variety you could name. Before we conclude this incredible journey through America's most valuable pennies, let me tell you about the single biggest mistake that cost someone millions of dollars. Back in 1992, a collector found a 1990 No S proof penny in a set he'd purchased years earlier. But instead of immediately securing it and getting professional authentication, he showed it to a local dealer who told him it was worth maybe $5,000 because of the error, and the collector, not knowing any better, sold the coin on the spot for $5,000, thinking he'd made a great deal, and that dealer turned around and sold it at auction 6 months later for $2.4 million after proper authentication and grading. The original owner could have changed his family's future forever, but instead he gave away millions because he didn't understand the coin's true value and didn't get professional opinions from major grading services. The market history of this variety demonstrates the explosive growth in rare coin values over the past 3 decades. When the first specimen sold in 1990, it brought $23,000 at auction, which seemed like an astronomical sum for a proof penny at that time. But as more collectors learned about the variety and as wealthy individuals entered the hobby, prices climbed steadily. By 2000, specimens were selling for over $500,000. By 2010, they'd reached the $5 million mark, and in 2021, the finest known example grading proof. 69 deep cameo sold for the record-shattering price of $55 million in a private treaty sale, marking a $239,030% increase in value over 31 years, showing returns that embarrass virtually every other investment category. If you've been enjoying this exploration of valuable coins, hit that like button and share this with anyone who has old coin collections or proof sets, because you could literally save them from throwing away or selling a fortune for pennies on the dollar. And subscribe so you never miss another video that could change your financial future. We cover rare treasures weekly at NUMIS TREASURE HUB, and your subscription helps us reach more people who desperately need this information. The grading breakdown for this variety is less nuanced than circulation strike errors because we're only dealing with proof coins, which by definition are uncirculated. So we're looking at grades from proof 60 to proof 70, and within that narrow range, the differences in value are absolutely staggering. A proof 64 specimen might sell for $8 million to $12 million. A proof 65 for $15 million to $22 million. A proof 66 for $25 million to $35 million, and the finest known proof, 69 deep cameo. Example is the one that sold for $55 million, showing how a few points on the grading scale can represent tens of millions of dollars in value. And this is why professional grading is absolutely essential. The difference between a proof 66 and a proof 67 could be $10 million. And only expert graders using standardized protocols can make those determinations accurately. The authentication process for these coins is extraordinarily rigorous because with this much money at stake, counterfeiters have tried to artificially create no-S varieties by removing mint marks from normal proof pennies. But experts can detect these fakes through microscopic examination. Genuine proof coins struck without mint marks show die characteristics and striking patterns consistent with San Francisco proof production, while altered coins show tool marks, surface disturbances, or inconsistencies that betray the fraud. And the major grading services PeaceGS and NGC have teams of experts specifically trained to detect these alterations, making authentication through these services absolutely critical before any financial transactions take place. The investment aspect of these coins transcends normal numismatic collecting because at $55 million, you're not just buying a coin, you're acquiring a trophy asset, something to display in a climate-controlled case, something to insure for 8 figures, something that belongs in museums alongside the world's rarest treasures. And the people who own these coins are typically ultra-high net worth individuals or institutions who view them not just as investments, but as pieces of American history worth preserving for future generations. And the fact that only 5 specimens exist means this will always be one of the most exclusive clubs in collecting. Fewer people own a 1990 no-S proof penny than have walked on the moon, making ownership about more than money. It's about legacy. The future of this variety seems secure, with experts unanimously predicting continued value appreciation because the supply is fixed, completely, totally, permanently fixed at 5 known specimens. And one of those is in an institutional collection that will likely never sell, meaning only 4 are potentially available on the open market. And if we see generational wealth transfer over the next decade with new ultra-wealthy collectors entering the hobby, competition for these 4 coins could drive prices even higher. Some experts predict the finest specimen could reach $100 million by 2035, which sounds insane until you realize that's the trajectory we've already seen. Values have gone from $23,000 to $55 million in 31 years. So doubling again over 11 years is actually conservative based on historical trends. The human stories behind these discoveries add emotional depth to the technical aspects of coin collecting. Real people have found fortunes completely by accident. Ordinary individuals checking coins they bought decades ago and discovering they own treasures worth more than most people earn in lifetimes. And there's something profoundly hopeful about that, about the possibility that careful attention and knowledge can lead to life-changing discoveries, that treasure still exists in the world, waiting for someone observant enough to recognize it. And that's why education matters, why learning about valuable coins matters, why taking the time to check old collections matters, because you never know when you might be holding millions of dollars without realizing it. Now that we've explored these three incredible pennies worth a combined total over $100 million, let me give you some final thoughts and action steps. First, never throw away or overlook old coins without examining them carefully. What looks like pocket change could be a fortune. Second, if you have any 1990 proof sets, check that cent immediately for the missing S mint mark. If you have 1996 pennies, look for dramatic doubling in Liberty, the date, and I in God we trust. And if you have 2000D pennies, check for the wide AM reverse combined with double die obverse characteristics. Third, if you find anything promising, protect it immediately. Don't clean it. Don't touch it with bare fingers. Get to PCGS or NGC for professional authentication and grading, because that's the only way to verify genuine rarities and realize their full value. Subscribe to NUMIS Treasure Hub if you haven't already, because we're covering valuable coins weekly, coins that could be in your collection right now, treasures hiding in plain sight, and your subscription ensures you're always informed, always educated, always prepared to recognize fortune when you encounter it. Hit that like button if these coins shocked you. Share this video with friends and family who need to check their change. And leave a comment telling us about any interesting coins you've discovered. We read every comment and love hearing your stories. The world of rare coin collecting offers possibilities that few other hobbies can match. The chance to turn knowledge into wealth, to discover treasures through careful observation, to own pieces of history that museums covet, and to potentially achieve financial freedom through accidental discoveries or smart collecting. And unlike gambling or get-rich-quick schemes, numismatics rewards expertise, patience, attention to detail, and genuine interest in history and craftsmanship, making it both intellectually rewarding and potentially life-changing financially. Check your coins, check your collections, check your family's old proof sets and albums, because somewhere out there, right now, someone owns one of these valuable varieties without knowing it. Someone has millions of dollars sitting in a drawer or box or album just waiting to be discovered. And there's absolutely no reason that person couldn't be you. Fortune favors the prepared, the educated, the observant. And after watching this video, you're now equipped with knowledge that could literally change your life if you encounter one of these coins in the wild. Thank you for watching NUMIS Treasure Hub. Stay curious, keep searching, and remember that extraordinary wealth sometimes hides in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone smart enough to recognize its value. See you in the next video, where we'll explore more hidden treasures that could make you wealthy beyond your wildest dreams. Until then, happy hunting, and may your coin searches lead to life-changing discoveries.